I'm Mr. Donlin, and today we're going to sneak up on the famous Mansa Musa of the Empire of Mali and see what he's been up to behind closed doors later during his reign. People, we are in Timbuktu. This is a fortified fort from Mansa Musa, and he's up to something inside. So let's see what happens if I toss this grenade at his walls. Oh my goodness, it worked. We have a hole which we can peer inside and see what Mansa Musa's been up to. Mansa Musa, what is going on? What is all of this? Mansa Musa, are you tampering with time travel? You're 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 messing with things that you couldn't possibly understand. There's too much science-y string theory numbers. You're using your wealth and power to your own advantage, Mansa Musa. Shut it down. Shut it down. Look, it's already starting to overload. Mansa Musa, you need to abort this mission before all of a sudden, oh no, that can't be good. Power levels critical. Mansa Musa, this is your last chance. Look, it's starting to go haywire. This is as red alert as it gets, Mansa Musa. You can't possibly go through with the mission. Mansa Musa, no. Mansa Musa, no. Oh, we lost him. He's slipping through the wormhole, people. There he goes. He's spinning and going through all the multiverses. Oh no, Mansa Musa. Good thing you brought your suit or whatever for protection. Here he goes. He's landing in a very unfamiliar place. Mansa Musa arrives, looks around, and it appears as though it's not his own time. He is quite lost indeed. This place looks nothing like his home, the Empire of Mali. Let's talk for a quick second about his home, this fabled location, of course, and the Empire of Mali. It's in sub-Saharan Africa. It probably has enough IP to make Disney's license. Really want to take a stab at it. It's also got some famous Islam universities there as well, and of course those sections down below in orange. Those are gold mines, people. There's a lot of this stuff, and when you stick it all in a melting pot and really, cook some great stuff with it, you get a really great hodgepodge of something quite excellent. Especially compared to Europe, while during this time they're struggling in their own ways. The power, the wealth of the world really came from this Empire of Mali, and here it is. So I mentioned the whole Sahara Desert thing. It's amazing what people were able to achieve during this medieval era, all the while traversing this and really not being all that afraid to do so. There were all these places interconnected, and over the course of hundreds of years, we're looking at 2/3 of the world's gold supply coming from Mali. Pretty crazy stuff. So this gold and salt trade really conjured together to make Mali the wealthiest, most powerful nation of the day. And Mansa Musa, you're at the head of it. So really, it's the empire, but it's also 12 kingdoms. That all extends from what was before known as Ghana. And if you could take a look really quick at the different colors and things like that, there were a lot of different rulers. More on that in a little bit. But interconnected in more ways than just trade. This is also an Islamic empire. And, aside from what they're trading being so valuable, the people who are traveling through this location, they're also carrying different ideas with them as well. And so part of this trade, part of this interconnectedness really does flow so well because they're all Muslims. They all follow Islam. So we're going to talk about taxes in a minute, but they're incredibly powerful for more than enough reasons. Okay, here we are. We're in Timbuktu. My goodness. So there's Mansa Musa, our guy. Let's get a little background on him before we figure out where he time traveled to. and he's kind of like the director. He's the guy in the chair. But over time, it appears as though a wall has been built between his rule, and these like 12 kingdoms, this great assembly that he's kind of supposed to be ruling over. So a lot of this really gets overshadowed over time, and the responsibility of Mansa Musa is beginning to drift. Hence why he's able to build this really fancy lab where he comes up with time travel. Meanwhile, everyone else is kind of doing all the stuff. And it's surprisingly pretty democratic. A lot of people like to think of Africa as like primitive or as like very tribal. And yeah, it's tribal in nature, but also the way in which they share powers and the way in which they operate through checks and balances is pretty darn advanced. So Mansa Musa also has another growing issue. He, as far as powerful go, he's got these griot people that really don't like him. These are like your historians of the day that tend to think that Mansa Musa is a little disconnected. And even historians, of course, they're like, Mansa Musa, you're great. No, those are the griots in their actual form, by the way. And even historians of the day, both from Mali and from outside the empire in different locations, they're the ones that are thinking that Mansa Musa, you done gone too far. Or you're just not really all that influential. Just a couple different perspectives for us. So anyway, Mansa Musa arrives in what is 2020 Times Square. But as mentioned, just like people can travel and they take whatever they have on them at the time, like the Egyptian afterlife, Mansa Musa, hey, not bad, gets to take all his riches with him. So how rich is this guy? We talking like a little or a lottle? Mansa Musa is making it to the chop charts pretty darn quick. It really is uncalculable. It's incalculable, really, just how wealthy this guy is. If we're using like a net worth calculator, which by the way has its problems, but a lot of people like to do this. It's just so vast, just how wealthy Mansa Musa was, and it's easy to see how he makes the richest person ever list in many people's minds. But you got to really compare that to Europe and other places at the time, and just the fact that gold was the currency of the day. It was so valuable, and Mansa Musa had so much of it that he didn't even know what to do. But I'll let him explain that, as he's going to show you his tendencies are quite generous, but also they're a little bit, let's just say, he doesn't really have the most forward-thinking abilities either. So Mansa Musa rolls up in this new sweet ride. He drops lots of money on this brand new business place, and he goes in to meet his business team, because obviously he wants to continue to be the most successful person ever. He wants to be the richest person. And now that he's in 2020, he's got to find a way to not only just keep his wealth and keep his assets, but really grow that foundation and push the boundaries. That's what history is all about. Or else he'd just be having a pity party watching his money go away. So anyways, he's in a meeting and he tells everybody, guys, I'm certified, I'm qualified, I'm famous. And he goes on to talk about this Hajj journey that he went on. Now, you guys should know about the Hajj, what this is. It's a Islamic pilgrimage, the fifth pillar of Islam. But when he goes on it, Mansa Musa makes a pretty big deal out of it. So Mansa Musa's Hajj, a little different. He's going to take with him quite a few things. And those quite a few things he takes with them are not your normal Hajj. I don't want anyone thinking that this is like how the pilgrimage was done. No, Mansa Musa really pushed the envelope. This is key to Mansa Musa. It's more than just a pilgrimage to him. It's a statement. It's like, we're gonna put the Empire of Mali back on the map. And obviously, he explains this to everybody, and they're like, okay, but was it a big deal? All right, listen. So Mansa Musa comes over to the desk, and he's like, it was a big deal. And he slaps this document down there, and he's like, look, check this out. And if you're looking at this, Mansa Musa is going to circle some things for us. Mansa Musa's famous Hajj really was something else. He caused runaway inflation, basically. in Cairo, and just he showed the world how much gold, how much wealth he had, and how generous he was with it. Also, just showed how like money was he had so much it didn't really matter to him. So, anyways, back to this Hajj. The room, the board, they're still not convinced. Okay, well, how about document number 2? He slaps down the Catalan Atlas. This is a famous map that was made around the time, or about 100 years after Mansa Musa, but still around his time. And look who is in the map himself. There he is. There's the guy, and he's like, certified yet? And now they're convinced. Of course, they're convinced. If the guy was put on a map, then clearly he's made of money, and like everyone knows it. But there's still problems. Mansa Musa realizes in 2020 that in order to make a big difference in the world, there's going to be some challenges. One of which being he made his Hajj where he traveled, and you're not really supposed to do that right now. He can't travel with his massive caravan. That can't be the thing that makes him famous. That can't be how he expresses and grows his wealth. Mansa Musa, you're going to have to come up with something a little different. So he's going to get into streaming. Mansa Musa, you genius. I mean, all the biggies are doing it nowadays. You know, anybody that's got a lot of money, this is where they're putting their Chuck E. Cheese coins. So Mansa Musa pitches this idea to his team. He's like, look, we need to come up with our own streaming service. But the kicker here, people, is I already did. Mansaflixprimeulu Plus. It's the best of all of those things, and it's not free, but it's the best of all of those things with a little extra history. So Mansa Musa explains to his people that, guys, we're going to come up with this streaming service, this channel where people can watch me in history doing stuff, time traveling, and making a big difference. And his office is absolutely blown away by this amazing idea. And just hear me out, people. Hear out Mansa Musa. Imagine how Mansa Musa, the richest, most powerful person, were to take all of his money, all of his assets, and jump into the Renaissance March Madness. Do you think he would win? Would he lose? How would Mansa Musa change the Renaissance? Never mind that. What about the Crusades? What would Mansa Musa do if he were alive during the Crusades? Would he or would he not prevent or start earlier or make the Crusades something worse or better? Who knows? What about Mansa Musa alive during the Black Death in Europe? Would Mansa Musa be able to use his wealth to stop the plague? Would he be able to use his wealth to change anything? What about Mansa Musa in the Indus River Valley? Could Mansa Musa be the person that prevents the Indus River Valley destruction? Hold the phone, we got even more. What about Mansa Musa when it was the Mongol invasion of Japan? Yes, that makes sense. Mansa Musa, could you change history's outcomes? Or even Mansa Musa trying to restore the Roman Empire, the glory of Rome, uniting East and West Rome. If Mansa Musa was there, would it be any different? So Mansa Musa pitches this great idea to everybody, and they're all kind of sitting around, and finally someone says, Alexa, play the Star Wars theme song.
Here's Star Wars by London Symphony Orchestra on Amazon.